I find that I often become bored with my Minecraft worlds. Playing for a month or two, getting all the best gear, building the same house before, I give up, and I restart in a brand new world, over and over. So, to try and solve this and challenge myself, I will be surviving an entire year on one Minecraft world, slowly updating the game as the year progresses. For the month of April, I'll be playing on 1.5 and 1.6. 1.5 was a Redstone update, which added a bunch of new Redstone features that I've never really used, as well as adding quartz and its blocks. In the spirit of Redstone, I want to dedicate these 2 weeks to making and using farms. I decided that the first farm I'm going to build will be a blaze spawner, which I can use for blaze rods and, more importantly, XP. I started gathering all the needed materials, which included mining sand for glass. Then I found a zombie villager, which I guess must have been added in this update. I took him home and fed him a golden apple to cure him. My dogs almost killed him, but he managed to survive, and I named him Dr. Treyors, for obvious reasons.
What are you doing? What I told you!
He sold me emeralds for paper, and power 5 for a lot of emeralds. Right now, he'll sit in this pen, but I hope to give him a home one day. Back to work, I finished gathering everything up, and then I headed off to the nether to begin construction. And yes, I use peaceful, because I can. I got the main frame constructed, but when I tried to add an on-off switch, it refused to work because of this annoying bug I can only describe as the residual liquid bug. It seems to only affect chunks that I made in 1.0, and as you can see, even if I drain all the lava, all the sources, everything, the lava refuses to go away and will just stay there until I fill each individual block in with blocks. I don't know how to get rid of it, so I didn't end up implementing an on-off switch. Besides that, everything else went just fine, and after not too long, the farm was operational. The blazes spawn up there on the top. They're pushed down by these pistons, where I trap them. Then I use this redstone lamp as a timer, and then I suffocate them for just long enough to get 1 or 2 hearts. Then I can safely kill them all in one hit. It works great, and it gives me a ton of quick XP, and lots of blaze rods. I reached level 30, and then I went hunting for some wither skeletons. I still can't find hardly any, and I think that it might be because it's an old fortress. So I journeyed off into the nether to find a new one. I knew I'd hit new chunks when I started finding quartz ore. I mined some up and then continued on my way. Eventually, I found a new fortress. I spent a long time going back and forth in the fortress, killing wither skeletons, but with the help of looting, I eventually got all 3 skulls I needed. It's 1 AM now, so I'm gonna go to sleep and fight the wither tomorrow. When I got back on, I was ready to fight the wither, the first boss of this world. Usually I would just build a tunnel at the bottom of the world to easily kill him, but that's lame. And I want to actually fight this guy how he's meant to be fought, on the surface. If I don't manage to kill him fast enough, he could destroy my whole world. With the stakes set high, I geared up with the best things I had, and I summoned the wither. He just kept on pelting me, and I got very close to death. I even had to use my notch apple. But after a close battle, I came out victorious. Wither star acquired. I collected all the sand that he had dropped, and then I filled all the crater holes with water. Kinda looks like the Loot Lake crater from Fortnite way back in the day, which is what I was going for. Afterwards, I went home and I used my collection of iron blocks to make a fully powered beacon down in Bedrock. Since I put it all the way down here, I can use haste to insta-mine the stone. However, I need an efficiency 5 pickaxe to do that. So, back to the blaze farm I go. To make travel easier, I built a road going straight from my nether base all the way across the lava lake, right to where the blaze spawner is. I spent a little time AFKing until I got efficiency 5. Then I made my way home, and down into the mines, where I started going ham. It's so satisfying to do this, and plus, I got a double chest and a half of stone blocks thanks to Silk Touch. Awesome. Next farm on the to-do list is a classic mob grinder. I've been wanting to make one since 1.0, but I never got around to it, because the zombie spawner I have in the ravine town worked well enough for me. I'm going to build it out of cobble because I feel like it's required, but I am going to add some woods that's not too ugly. Alright, it's done. I've done it a couple of times before, so I pretty much know the design by heart. Since I'm not using it for XP, I made the drop 1 block higher than it should be, so all the mobs die on impact and just drop their loot. It's pretty slow, but that's alright. All I wanted was a little trickle mob farm for some loot. I mainly built it to be a giant monolith on the skyline. Afterwards, I took a break to harvest some pumpkins. I added a little wall, and I think I might turn this area into some sort of farm plaza thing. Maybe. For now, I went back to work. I bred my animals and made an automatic egg collector, which I like to call Chicken Hell. I was going to go and mine some trees when it dawned on me that I could just make a farm instead. After some research on YouTube, trying to find tutorials that would work in a version sold, I found a design I liked and got to work. It was all really complicated, so when I realized it would be too big for the spot I picked, I was very hesitant to disassemble and rebuild it all. But I decided to do the right thing, and so I had to restart the building 40 blocks away. It works. I used it for a while, and it ate through a ton of bone meal, which felt wasteful, but I have no other use for bones besides just decorating the insides of my chests. I built walls around the farm to cover the machinery, and it turned out kind of villagery. For some reason, it reminds me of a certain not-so-fun camp. I spent way more resources on making this farm than I will ever get from it, and it definitely would have been faster to just mine wood normally, but hey, who cares? Plus, it looks pretty cool if you're a big fan of villager architecture. I farmed some more pumpkins, and I was going to make pumpkin pie, but I could just not remember the recipe. Apparently you need sugar and not wheat, as if sugar is more important than flour in a recipe. Next, I used my second rare dungeon cocoa bean I'd found to start a farm, and then I decided to go on my next mission. The goal is to get a double chest full of logs. I need wood, and I don't have any right now. I'm almost out. So I got to work in my grove while listening to some lo-fi music. It would be nice if birch wasn't so ugly. It's super easy to farm. You know, maybe we don't even need all these machines, dude. All we need is just nature. Well, it may have burnt down a little bit, but at least it didn't get hit by a boat. I need to figure out how to stop these giant oak trees from spawning so I don't have to resort to burning them all down. I looked it up and I saw a design online where you just put a row of slabs like 8 blocks above them, and it's supposed to stop any giant trees from growing. So I fixed a bridge, then cleared out a level area for the growth, and then I made 2 64 block long covers to grow oak trees under. So theoretically, if they all grow to 4 blocks high, I should get 8 stacks of logs each time I harvest this thing. I planted all the saplings, and then I added some decorations, like this fence and the shack to source some extra saplings. I headed off to the blaze spawner to add an enchanting room. I could have used some of the bookshelves I have in the triple one tower, but it just feels wrong to tear up old builds. It feels like grave robbing. Once I had the bookshelves made, I made it over there, and I set everything up and let the spawner run in the background. I watched some YouTube, and when I was done, I came out with some good enchantments, but nothing too crazy. I came home and I used up a pickaxe to do some instant mining, but without him breaking, it didn't last very long. For my next project, I want to build a farm I've been dreaming up for a long time. I want to make a cute watermill house to farm some carrots and potatoes. It will be the twin counterpart to my windmill wheat farm, but first, I got distracted by a side quest. I went out to the desert to satisfy my instant mining addiction, and then I used the sand to make a cactus and sugarcane farm. Behold, the cactus shack and the sugarcane shack. I don't know. The cactus shack is pimped out with a fully autonomous harvesting and collection system, and the sugarcane farm is not. But at the end of the day, it works just fine, and that's all I need. While I was building, I went on a caving side quest after hearing some noises under my feet. Nothing of note really, except for me suffocating this creeper. After I was done with the cactus shack, I went to the blaze farm for a non-silk touch pickaxe. I have 2 double chests of smooth stone from insta-mining, but I literally have 0 cobble. After some waiting, I got my pickaxes and I did some mining. I found this mega gold vein along with enough resources in cobble to satisfy me for now. Finally, after this side quest, I got back to building the watermill. I love building in this area. All the other projects I have just give such a cool background. I'm so proud of this world. I'm not very good at making windmills look good, clearly, but I'm okay with the way this watermill turned out. Alright, I got everything built up, now it's time to furnish it. Now that the house is done, it's time for the main point of this build, the potato and carrot fields. Love it. I stopped by the blaze spawner for some new tools, and then I went out to the western swamps to collect some clay. While I was there, I also got some lily pads while I'm at it. I'm not sure if it's true, but I think that if I leave flowing water behind after I dig up the clay, it'll create more lag, so I made sure to fill in all the spots where I dug. I'm not sure if it's true, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Once I came home, I threw the clay in the furnace, and then I went out to gather more sand. I'm collecting all the sand for Sandstone because I really want to make some sort of desert village. I did a little sample list back in January when I made that desert pyramid, but I want to make a real town. But first, I'll need a lot of sandstone. So here I am. Side note, I found out you can use smooth sandstone to craft smooth sandstone. It feels really forbidden for some reason. Afterwards, with my grove fully grown, I did a little bit of relaxing tree chopping. I did a little bit of mining, and then I went back to the blaze farm for the millionth time. This time, for some more pickaxes. Finally, I ended up getting Fortune 3, along with some other good pickaxes. I immediately went home and used Fortune 3 to mine up all the ores I had been stockpiling. For my 45 diamond ores, check the flex real quick. Okay, from 45 ore blocks, I got about a stack and a half of diamonds, which basically doubled my profits. Then I built a giant pillar of coal up into the sky, mining all the way through it to get down. I repeated the process for some more coal and some redstone, and at the end of the day, I had a ton of resources. Can't wait for coal blocks next update because this is almost too much. With all this grinding for resources and XP, I wanted to take a little break and just make a nice little build. So I got to work on a cake bakery nestled at the bottom of the hill. Here it is. It's got everything you need for cakes. A farm for some wheat, chicken for eggs, a cow for milk, sugar cane for sugar. Combine it all in a cake oven, crafting table, and you get a cake, as well as an achievement that's been reset 10 times. Now, enjoy your cake, and don't eat too much, fat ass. I got a full harvest on the carrots and potatoes, which is always nice, and then I went down to the mines for some cobble. You know I always be getting diamonds, man. Leave me alone! Now, even though I've spent these last 2 weeks building all sorts of farms, I haven't actually used any of the Redstone update features, besides hoppers. So I want to build something to educate myself on what everything does. Get ready for a lesson in nerd stuff. Redstone Education with Professor Rexstang. The weighted pressure plates come in iron and gold. They both detect when items are on them and output a signal. The iron one outputs a signal for every 10 items and the gold one for every 1. The daylight sensor senses daylight. Pretty self-explanatory. Trap chest outputs a redstone signal when opened. The dropper will always drop the actual item itself instead of using it, like with a lava bucket for example. The hopper transfers items from one container to another, and can pick up items thrown on top of it. And finally, the comparator. This block has always been outside of my smartness level, but here's what I know it does. It measures different properties of a block, like how full a chest is, or how an item frame is rotated. This now concludes your Rex Ed lesson. Thank you for listening. At the back of the exhibit, I also wired up a not at all obvious hidden treasure room with a piston door all by myself. I'm very proud. What's inside? Oh, well, that's for me to know. Or maybe you guys if I ever do a world download. Next, I finally added something to one of the Sky Limit Lodge's floors. I used some of the ores and mineral blocks I had to decorate the first floor. I'm missing some, like the emeralds, but hey, it's a start. Finally, to end off the week, and 1.5, I built a roller coaster. It just seemed right. .6, or the horse update, added horses, which come in different speeds and varieties, as well as adding hay bales, coal blocks, carpets, and other things. Now, obviously, since the horse update just dropped, the first thing I did was look for a stallion of my own. I went to the northwestern plains, but I didn't find any. I think it's because these are old chunks and all the mobs have already spawned in here. I kept searching around the chunk border, but I still couldn't find any. So I headed back to the road to orient myself, and then I just headed due east. Eventually I came across a cute desert village, and a little ways past it, this canyon opened up into a clearing, and there they were. Horses. I spent a couple days trying to tame all of them, sorting them into good and not so good. I hate spending so much time on taming a horse just for it to suck. I saw more horses on the hill, but I decided to head back with the best horse I'd found so far. He can jump 4 blocks high, and he's pretty fast, so I'm happy with him. I gave him a saddle and some of the iron horse armor I had found in that desert village, then we headed home. I've got to find a better place for these guys. This looks like a refugee camp. Alright, now that I've got a horse, it's time for the real goal this week. You know that desert town I mentioned earlier? It's time I get to work on that. I want to have the central town square sort of area, as well as a pyramid, markets, a stable for the horses, and other houses. I've got a good vision of what it'll look like, but the only question is, where do I build it? There are 3 main deserts on the map that I can choose from. The northern one is where my road runs through and it's where the old pyramid is, although it is pretty bumpy and kind of too close to my other builds. The southwestern one is where I fought the Wither and is the closest. You can see it across a lake at my base. And the southeastern one is secluded, cut off from my base by the lonely mountains. I debated which desert to build in for a while, touring each one with my horse, till eventually I decided to build in the southwestern desert, which I'm going to call the low desert because of how flat and low it is. The low desert can be seen from my base across the lake and will be much easier to build in than the other options. The actual spot I chose is across a small hill and in a nice little bowl. It's nice and secluded, so it feels separate from the main base, while not being too far away to feel disconnected. Set up a little camp, and then I started clearing some sand. Nothing like some nice flat land with a desert sunset. Makes me feel like a real cowboy. Once I had a flat space to build, I started with the town center. A circle plaza with a fountain in the middle and greenery around the edges. Then I started working on a recreation of a desert pyramid. I want to transform a desert pyramid into a house, so first I'm building the original structure. Right now though, I'm all out of sandstone and I need terracotta. So to protect the landscape around the town, I went off into a different desert to gather some sand. Then I got a silk touch shovel and used it to gather clay blocks from around the rivers and swamps. I headed back over to the desert and finished the pyramid, as well as using terracotta to fill in the paths. Now for the pyramid, I'm going to use a design I saw on Google when I looked up Minecraft Desert House. The tutorial's for modern Minecraft, so I'm going to have to improvise a little bit, but that's alright. here's the tour. First, it's got a lobby with an ender chest and a jukebox, an enchanting room, some storage space, and a kitchen, as well as a 4-man bedroom on the upper floor for the friends I don't have. I really like it. I hope the rest of the town turns out this nice. Next, I worked on making palm trees around the town square. Yeah, it's actually a circle. I considered just using jungle trees, but I think that the palm trees look good enough to justify spending the time on them. I usually hate building custom trees because I'm bad at it, but I'm proud of these ones. They lean, they have these big flat leaves, and they even have coconuts. Well done. Next, I built the farms and the market. I made a potato and a carrot farm on one of the streets, and on this street I have a pop-up market. There's a shop for decorations, melons and pumpkins, farming and fishing. I love the way the colors pop out compared to the rest of the sandstone town. I did try to fish for the fish market, but when I fished with the fishing rod I didn't fish any fish from the fish pond. Oh well, there's always more fish in the sea, but today there were no fish for me. Rex Twain. Next I dug out a path to connect the town to my base over by the watermill. I went a little bare bones on the materials because sandstone is very expensive. Let's take a break and do some math. Each sandstone costs 4 sand, so for 1 block of sandstone, you need 4 tool durability. With wood on the other hand, when you mine 1 log, you get 4 blocks. So for 4 tool durability, or 4 logs, you could get 16 planks. So basically, building with sandstone is 16 times more expensive than building with wood. So I hope you can understand when I try to save some where I can. I got it all filled in and added some lights, along with this cute little bridge. I built this wheat farm with a cabin and a loft for hay up top. Then I built a blacksmith inspired by the desert village ones. Added these redstone and coal ores, which are supposed to be like hot and cold coals from the lava. Cool detail, I thought. Next, I made a horse stable across the street from the blacksmith. I put my horse in there, and I realized I still haven't named him yet. I think I'll call him Max. Yeah, Max. I like that. Rest up, Max. You have food and water here. For the last building in the village, I want to fill out the other side of the street across from the desert pyramid. I just want to build a normal house to live in. Nothing special, except for a portal to hell in the front yard. I've got everything started. I have 2 floors, a space for a small garden, another portal, and a back porch. I found out they have carpets now. I thought they added those in 1.8. They would have been nice to know when I was building those shops earlier. I really like these leaves and haybales. I think they're a nice touch and they put a nice little bow on this house. All that's left to do for the desert town is to add some walls, to protect it from mobs, and to tie it all together. I don't know if I want to use a circle or square design, but I do know one thing, and that is that I need more sandstone and terracotta. So back to turbo digging I go. Guys, I lost Max. I rode him into my chest area and logged out, and I logged back on and now I can't find him anywhere. He's not anywhere in the base, outside of it, or even in the desert town. Please call me if you find him. Help bring Max home. For now though, I am horseless. So I traveled to the desert road on foot. After I settled on a design I liked, I got to work on the wall. It's nice. It's just high enough to keep monsters out, but low enough to see all the buildings inside of the village. Just right. It's got these watchtowers on the corners, and it really makes the town feel complete. I love building this town, and I'm so glad it turned out so well. I'll see you guys next month. Have a good day. Goodbye.